You're watching the World News with me, James Chow. We're live in Beijing, where it's just gone 12 noon. Thanks for joining us. And in our lead story, the Chinese Foreign Ministry says Premier Wen Jiabao's week-long visit to Europe next week will be a journey of confidence. Assistant Foreign Minister Wu Hongbo was speaking at a news conference on Thursday. My colleague Sun Wei was following that.
Wen Jiabao will visit Switzerland, Germany, Spain, Britain, and the EU headquarters in Brussels. He will also attend the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos. Wu Hongbo said Wen's tour had 3 goals.
The Premier's trip is, first, to boost confidence and coordinate policies to deal with the global slowdown. Second, to cement bilateral ties and expand cooperation with the 4 nations mentioned above. And finally, to further promote China-Europe relationship.
The European Union has been China's largest trade partner for 5 consecutive years. Despite the existence of disputes, Wu said China is still optimistic about relations between the 2 sides. Wu said that the international community is jointly confronting the financial crisis, and this is also an opportunity for each country to expand new cooperation. Sun Wei, CCTV.
Last year, China was hit by a huge earthquake in its southwestern province of Sichuan. 8 months on, and the first batch of permanent housing is ready in 4 of the hardest hit areas. Some of the survivors who lost their homes in that disaster will move into their new buildings before the New Year holiday. Wu Peng reports.
90% of the houses in Dujiangyan's Tipan village collapsed during the last year's earthquake. 8 months have passed, and more than 800 families have moved to their new permanent houses before the Spring Festival with government help.
I've got a 175 square meter house. There are 5 people in my family.
Dong says it will take at least 2 more years for his family to recover from the quake, but he's quite confident about the future. 21-year-old Ren Miao is a normal college student. The new home is a surprise gift for her winter holiday.
I couldn't get such a house even after 50 years of hard work.
By the end of 2008, the central government had distributed more than 10.7 billion yuan in financial aid to quake survivors. To ensure survivors were warm during the winter, the government also distributed 625 million yuan in special aid. Wu Peng, CCTV.
Well, let's talk now about the weather. Frosty conditions here in Beijing. That's because a strong cold front has hit northern parts of China. It's bringing snowstorms to vast areas and dragging down temperatures by an average of 10 degrees. Yang Shanshan has that.
Storm swept across northern China, bringing down visibility and the temperature. The worst hit areas are the northeast provinces and the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, with many highways closed and aircraft stranded. In some areas, heavy snow is up to 15 centimeters high, and the temperature has dropped to minus 34 degrees. The capital Beijing has not escaped the chill. Although there is no sign of snow, people have been wrapping up to cope with the strong gales. Up the coast of eastern Shandong province, the weather at sea reached gale force 8, forcing vessels to retreat to harbor for 2 days. Authorities are seeking measures to assist the stranded passengers on their journeys. Experts say the cold weather will last for at least 2 days in the northern part of China before it hits the southern part of the country. Frost has already arrived in Fujian province, and salt has been put on the roads to prevent icy conditions. Authorities are warning drivers to stay alert, particularly during the Spring Festival travel rush. Yang Shanshan, CCTV.
More than 50 million rail journeys have already been made ahead of the New Year holiday, which begins in earnest this weekend, but the pressure is still very much on. Train stations right across the country have handled their biggest passenger flow on the 12th day of the New Year travel peak.
The cold weather can't prevent passengers from returning home. The tickets are hard to buy. Many hopeful travelers are still waiting in line.
Every day, passengers will return some tickets. Between 6,000 to 8,000 have been returned. They will be resold. Those people who have no tickets still have a chance to return home.
As part of managing the busiest travel day prior to the Lunar New Year, emergency health clinics have been set up at the station and more trains are running. Now the station has begun to sell tickets for post-Spring Festival travel. Travelers can now buy tickets 10 days ahead instead of just 5 days. As snowstorms affect the northern part of China, flights and buses have been increased to deliver more passengers, and urgent efforts have been made to prevent icy conditions. Crowds are also swelling at customs. At the crossing between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, passenger flow hits nearly 320,000 each day during the Spring Festival holiday, and efforts are taken to ensure order and safety. Yang Shenshan, CCTV.
So as we see a record number of passengers returning home by train in time for the New Year holiday, but railway network capacities are falling seriously short of demand, and the vast majority of passengers will have to cope with a torturous journey home. Liu Ying filed this report from Guangzhou Railway Station.
This is the busiest railway station in southern China. Each year ahead of the Spring Festival, tens of millions of passengers, most of them rural migrants working at manufacturing bases in Guangdong's Po River Delta area, take trains home from Guangzhou Railway Station. It's a real battleground here. People try every possible way just to get on the train. Though many have to crowd in the jammed and stuffy carriages for more than 10 hours, it's all considered worthwhile for just one purpose: getting home.
For most Chinese, especially rural migrant workers, trains are their main choice of transport to return home during the Spring Festival. Last year, a snow and ice storm paralyzed the rail network in many parts of the country and stranded hundreds of thousands of passengers at Guangzhou Railway Station. This year, a record 188 million trips are expected during the 40-day holiday travel season. This undoubtedly will again test the country's rail system.
And for numerous passengers who only manage to buy standing tickets, tough journeys lie ahead. And it's even worse for those who have to bring their children with them as well. This 3-member household comes from Hunan province. They were unable to buy sleeper or seat tickets. A 14-hour trip for both the adult and their 2-year-old child is a daunting prospect.
We previously didn't plan to go home, but the child's grandma just died recently, so we have to go back. We weren't able to return home last year because of the snowstorm that paralyzed the rail network.
Some have found enterprising ways to make themselves as comfortable as possible on the train. Plastic barrels like these are considered a convenient choice, as they can serve as a container for baggage or seat to sit on. This couple heading for their hometown in Henan province, 18 hours away.
We have no other choice. We need to go home. Both our elderly relatives and our children are waiting for us at home.
The Guangdong Railway Department has tried its best to maximize the rail capacity and improve their services to ensure a safe, if not cozy, trip for as many passengers as possible. But with just 2.5 inches of track for every one of China's 1.3 billion people, it's still impossible to meet the demand for all passengers.
This year, some passengers have returned home earlier than usual because of the weakening economy. But the number of passengers during the Spring Festival travel rush has not fallen because of this. Instead, we estimate the number will be higher than in previous years. Currently, our station handles over 200,000 passengers a day. The gap between the capacity and the demand is still quite large.
Fortunately, this gap may start to narrow in the years to come. Railway authorities promised earlier this month that they will try to eliminate the bottleneck over the next 3 years by increasing the rail network from the current 80,000 to 110,000 kilometers nationwide. If this goal can be achieved, it might not be too long before China's train passengers are able to have a more comfortable and cozy trip home for the holidays. Liu Ying, CCTV, Guangzhou.
Well, back here in Beijing, we're going to go to our first commercial break. Coming